So one time I was with my friends riding in a taxi on our way downtown in Gwangju on a Friday night, and we didn't really have a schedule, but we did realize that the taxi driver was taking us on a little bit of a circuitous route to our destination. Like I said, it didn't really bother us. We weren't on a tight schedule, and it doesn't really cost that much extra if they give you a bit of a runaround, maybe $1 extra, but it's really not that bad in Korea. So we made some joke about how he had to make his money somehow, and then the conversation died, and we just ended up looking out the window in pleasant silence. Now, I have no idea how much time transpired, because if you know anything about me, you know that if I'm given pleasant silence in which to think, there are a million thoughts that run through my head, and I could do that for hours. Regardless, the conversation did pick back up soon thereafter when my friend turned around and said, "Wow, there are a lot of them out tonight." And I said something along the lines of, "Well, of course there are a lot of them tonight. It's a Friday night. Everybody's going downtown. Demand will be up. It's the laws of supply and demand." And she said, "Oh, well, I guess that makes sense." And then she looked back out the window and a few moments later turned back to me and said, "But are there really going to be that many out tonight?" And so I said, "Well, they wouldn't be here if they weren't making any money. It's a basic rule of business. You can't lose money doing things." And she said, "Yeah, I guess that makes sense. You really know a lot about this." And then she turned back around for a few more moments looking out the window. And then she turned back really insistently and said, "I mean, I've made a few bad decisions in my life, but I don't think I could ever really..." And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, listen, our taxi driver may not speak English very well, but on the off chance that he could, you may want to watch what you're saying because you don't want to offend him when he hasn't dropped us off yet. So then my friend in the front seat turns around and says, "Did you really just compare yourself to And she didn't finish that sentence at all. And then my friend sitting next to me said, "Yeah, I guess you're right." And she turned back around and started looking out the window again. And then out of nowhere, she turns around and says, "I just don't think I could ever imagine selling myself for sex." I was so surprised I couldn't even say anything. If there was a drink in my mouth, that would have been an amazing spit take. She just looks at me as if I have two heads and she says, "You know that's what they do, right?" Yeah, well, I was talking about all the taxi drivers out that night. They were talking about the prostitutes we drove by. 100% true story. I wish I could make that up. I just couldn't believe that we spent that long having two different conversations with each other with nobody noticing it. It was pretty impressive, but I want to know if you all have had any similar experiences. If you have fun stories like that, let me know in the comments or leave a video response. I always appreciate video responses, though YouTube doesn't always tell me when I have them. That's a bit frustrating. Maybe the new layout has fixed that. I've gone off on a tangent again. See what I mean? A million thoughts running through my head at once. And with that, I'll see you all next time.